Meanwhile, back here at home, the Trump administration has announced plans to pause more than $250 million in Medicaid funding for Minnesota as part of an effort to crack down on fraud in the state. Here's some of what Vice President J.D. Vance said yesterday.
What we're doing is we are stopping the federal payments that will go to the state government until the state government takes its obligations seriously to stop the fraud that's being perpetrated against the American taxpayer.
This pause in funds comes after federal prosecutors confirmed dozens of people in Minnesota stole more than $1 billion in public funds intended for people with disabilities. According to the administration, the funding will only be released after Democratic Governor Tim Walz provides a comprehensive action plan within the next 60 days. Governor Walz criticized the move on social media, writing, "This has nothing to do with fraud. The agents Trump allegedly sent to investigate fraud are shooting protesters and arresting children." Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison has said the state could take the federal government to court over this action. So, Claire, the Trump administration, led by J.D. Vance, is using Medicaid as a lever here, punishing poor people who need health care to pursue fraud, which is real. The Biden administration started these prosecutions in 2022 under Attorney General Merrick Garland, who announced a whole bunch of charges for a scheme over COVID funds in the state of Minnesota. But what's your take on where this has gone from there?
Well, I mean, no question they had a problem. No question that there have been aggressive moves to deal with the problem, including a number of prosecutions, including a number of audits and programs that Walz has put in place after acknowledging that they clearly didn't have enough controls on this particular program and somebody stole a whole bunch of money. But look what they're doing. Keep in mind, when somebody is kicked off Medicaid, when there's not the money to fund Medicaid, they still go to the emergency room. They still get the care. And that care is paid for by that hospital. And guess what that hospital does? It calls your insurance company and says, I'm going to raise your rates for what you're going to pay for health care. So when poor people get kicked off health care, we don't turn them down in an emergency room. We all pay those premiums. And people in Wisconsin are smart enough to know that. This is going to be a political loser for this administration. And I'll tell you what a lot of people in the United States Senate are doing right now. They're eyeing Ron Johnson's seat in 2028. And they're eyeing other places where they can go in this area of the country where they're seeing the overextension of power by the federal government to score political points as opposed to really helping people.
And Frank, for when the announcement that Vice President Vance would lead this anti-fraud, anti-corruption effort, there were plenty of jokes on social media like, hey, just look to the guy in front of you right there on the dais during the State of the Union. Start there, perhaps. Others, though, Gary Kasparov included, say, well, wait a minute. How about this? How about new sanctions on Russia instead of on Minnesota? And it does seem for this administration, everything is pure politics. Everything here is about seeking some sort of vengeance against political foes. And maybe some of the ICE operations have pulled back in Minnesota, but that state remains squarely in President Trump's crosshairs.
Right. I mean, I think the tell is that Vance is the front man for this operation because he is their troller in chief. We know that this is likely to get struck down in courts because that's what's happened before when blue states have been targeted in this sort of way. But it's also, I mean, incredibly evident that this is also retribution against a state that had the temerity to resist the administration, that there is kind of a latent, not so latent, authoritarianism behind this measure, that when you have a pocket of resistance, you come at it and you try to quash it, you try to send them whatever brushback pitches that you can, and that's what's happening here.
And let's be specific, the administration targeting largely Somali Americans in Minnesota, who Donald Trump referred to as Somali pirates during the State of the Union. Staff writer at The Atlantic, Frank Foer. Frank, thank you as always. Coming up, more